Hello everyone, welcome to the Halal Vision Quality Academy. Halal Vision is a brand of 10K Consulting specialized in the field of halal certification, and the content of this short training video is brought to you by Halal Vision experts. My name is Korkut, and in this video, we'll try to provide basic guidance for food companies and producers that wish to obtain a halal food certificate according to the OIC SMIIC 1 General Requirements for Halal Food Standard. In order to do this, we'll briefly explain what the halal food certification process looks like. But first, let's take a look at the size of the halal food market. If you do your research, you'll see that various market research companies have taken up the challenge to measure the size of the halal food market. You'll also see that there's a considerable discrepancy between the findings of different research companies. For example, according to the Business Research Company, the size of the halal food market was 1.3 trillion US dollars in 2022, and it is expected by them to reach 2.5 trillion US dollars by 2027. But according to a study by the eMark Group, this figure was 2,002 trillion US dollars in 2022, and eMark expects the halal food market size to reach almost 4.2 trillion US dollars by 2028. Now, our advice is don't get caught up in the difference between these figures. After all, these companies use different research methodologies and assumptions, so they reach different results. But there's this one thing that all research companies agree on, which is the fact that the demand for halal certified products is increasing steadily and rapidly. So it's quite normal for food companies who wish to sell their products to Muslim markets to speed up their efforts in order to obtain a halal certificate. So what exactly do you need to do in order to get a halal certificate according to the OIC SMIIC 1 General Requirements for Halal Food Standard? Let's go step by step. Step 1. First and foremost, you need to buy the standard. You need to purchase the standard, you need to study it, and you need to learn its requirements. It is possible to obtain the standard from SMIIC's website, and as of the time that this video was being filmed, the price was 64 US dollars. Step 2. You need to provide trainings on the standard to all your personnel involved in the halal production processes. You won't be able to implement the standard properly without giving this training to your personnel, right? You also need to document that these trainings have been provided to your personnel, because when you apply for halal certification to the halal certification body, they will ask you to show which trainings your personnel took, and they might ask you for training certificates and even other supporting documents. Now, regarding the trainings, let me also emphasize this. The trainings your personnel needs to receive is not limited to this OIC SMIIC 1 standard. When you examine the standard itself, you will see that the standard refers to many other documents such as ISO 22000 and other international standards and normative documents. Running a proper food safety management system is one of the basic requirements of the standard. So your personnel must also receive trainings on food safety management systems such as ISO 22000 or FSSC 22000, for example. Also note that your internal audit team must also receive training on ISO 19011 as well. The third major step is to develop and implement your system documentation. Now, I just mentioned ISO 22000 and FSSC 22000, right? As you know, one of the most basic rules of these management system standards is that you have to write what you do and you have to do what you write. You have to have a proper documentation system in place. What kind of documents am I talking about? I'm talking about your halal quality manual. I'm talking about your prerequisite programs. I'm talking about your processes, workflows, instructions, and many other documents that you need to prepare and update as required. If you are already running a food safety management system, which you should, by the way, because this is a requirement of the Halal Food Standard itself, then your task would be to revise and update your existing food safety management system documentation so that you can address the requirements of the Halal Food Standard as well. Step 4. Let's move on to internal audits. You need to establish a system for internal audits, which ISO standards typically prescribe for all management standards, right? So you need to plan, carry out, report, and document your internal audits. Note that these audits must be carried out in accordance with the principles laid down in ISO 19011. Remember I mentioned that your auditors also need to receive training on 19011? This is the reason why. So, step 5. The next step after setting up your system is to make your application to the Halal certification body. But here, you need to be careful about setting the scope of the certification. In other words, which products or product groups do you want to receive Halal certification for? If your company produces, say, dairy products and meat products, it is indeed possible for you to choose which products that you need the Halal certificate for. Just keep in mind that if you make such a choice, there could be certain arrangements that you need to make within your facilities and your production lines, basically because you have to separate halal production from non-halal production. And that is a requirement of the Halal Food Standard. Once you have a good idea about the scope that you're going to apply for, then you need to identify an accredited Halal certification body, a body that is accredited for providing certification within that scope. Step 6. Now you're ready to apply to a Halal certification body with your documents. You need to prepare your application documents very carefully. Don't forget, all accredited Halal certification bodies are required to have accessible and very clear application procedures for Halal certification. You will first be required to submit your system documentation. Remember the documentation system that I mentioned and all the documents that you need to develop or update according to the standard? These are the documents I'm talking about. First, you need to submit these documents to the Halal certification body. And after analyzing your documents, the Halal certification body may ask for additional documents, or they may decide to move on to the on-site audits. In other words, the audit team of the Halal certification body will visit your facilities in person and see your practices on-site. And finally, step 7. If you successfully pass the audits of the Halal certification body, then you will be eligible to receive a Halal food certificate from that Halal certification body. But you also need to ensure the sustainability of the certificate. Now remember, under the OIC SMIIC system, Halal certificates are issued for a period of 3 years. And then they are renewed at the end of this 3 years. However, a surveillance audit is also conducted in the second and third years. Also keep in mind that these surveillance audits can be performed unannounced. And in some cases, the audits can be conducted under the supervision of a representative from the Halal accreditation body as well. This is actually an item that must be included in your certification agreement, Halal certification agreement with the Halal certification body. Now you have a very good idea of the steps that you need to pass in order to receive a Halal food certificate according to the OIC SMIIC 1 General Requirements for Halal Food Standard. We hope that this information was useful for you. Now don't forget, if you're facing issues or if you need help with the process, as Halal Vision, we are ready to pull you through. Just contact us. See you in the next video.